We start this Monday with encouraging news on the vaccine front, perhaps a bright light at the end of the proverbial tunnel, though we still don't know just how long the tunnel is. Longer and larger vaccine studies will ultimately help determine that. In the meantime, President Trump claims that for the last week and a half, he's been taking a drug to prevent COVID-19, despite warnings that it could be fatal if improperly used. More on that in just a moment. But first, a growing conundrum inside homes across this country. Even as COVID cases are on the rise in at least 10 states continue to ease restrictions. But here's the dilemma. Some parents are now preparing to physically go back to work, but plans are still up in the air about camp and schools. And with limited childcare options, what is a parent to do? White House correspondent Karen Travers leads us off.
It is the burning question for working parents like Lori Johnson. How and when will their kids get back to school?
The biggest challenge is there's just not enough hours in the day.
Lori lives in South Carolina and has 2 children, ages 7 and 4. She and her husband are juggling full-time jobs at home, taking care of the kids and distance learning.
I was on a video call for work just with coworkers, luckily, and the 4-year-old walked in naked. Everyone thought that was hilarious. I said, and luckily my bosses were on that call. I was like, well, welcome to my day. You know, this is what happens.
Ralphie Santiago is a father of 2 young boys in New York City. He and his partner are working from home.
Oh my gosh.
Ralphie is the coordinator of an after-school program in Harlem for kids ages 8 through 12, a program that, like school, has gone virtual during the COVID-19 shutdowns.
It was like 2 weeks in or maybe 3 weeks in, I started realizing I was really frustrated with my kids and really upset with them. Because I couldn't sit down and get my work done. One day it just dawned on me, at the end of the night, I like to reflect on how the day went and how I could do a little better tomorrow for both of my sons and try to scream less and try to punish them less.
Ralphie, Lori, and millions of working parents have had to quickly adjust to this new normal without the usual childcare arrangements.
There are no networks right now just because of social distancing. You can't rely on your friend or your family or your neighbor or someone across the street. And it's really tough for families right now.
Bridget Schulte is the author of Overwhelmed: Work, Love, and Play When No One Has the Time. She says parents always knew the challenge of work and childcare, but the coronavirus pandemic is pulling back the curtain.
And I think a lot of it reflects this long-standing notion in our country that family matters are a private affair and that you just need to figure it all out. I don't want to hear about it. Go do that and then just get to work on time.
Eager to get the country back to some state of normal, President Trump is pushing for businesses to reopen and for workers to get back on the job.
Our country's got to get back, and it's got to get back as soon as possible.
But there is no plan right now from the Trump administration to help working parents, while schools and many daycare centers are closed.
Our childcare system, and I say that very lightly, it's really not a system. It's very fragile. It's kind of patched together. It's very difficult to find quality care, difficult to afford. And this pandemic has just really pushed it to the edge.
Under the White House reopening guidelines, states can choose to open some businesses in Phase 1, but they cannot open schools until Phase 2.
My company is currently planning to reopen our office at the end of May. But there are several of us with younger school-aged children, and they haven't said anything. They just haven't addressed that point yet.
I recently asked President Trump about this issue.
Mr. President, about childcare, though, millions of Americans aren't sure how they can go back to work if schools are closed. How can they have their kids taken care of? Is your government considering something in addition to helping employees stay employed to help them take care of their kids?
It's a good question. I think the schools are going to be open soon.
But schools in 48 states and Washington, D.C. closed for the remainder of the academic year. And the extra load on parents doesn't end there. Many summer camps canceled, including the one Lori Johnson's 7-year-old daughter was set to attend.
They've already canceled that for June, and they haven't made a decision yet about July. That breaks my heart for her. She's going to be 8 years old. That means she's going to have to sit inside Monday through Friday all day.
With the current school year winding down, administrators and educators are already deep into planning for the fall, looking at how and when students can safely get back into the classroom. This was a big topic last week on Capitol Hill. Republican and Democratic senators pressing Dr. Anthony Fauci on when schools can open. The infectious disease expert trying to temper expectations.
The idea of having treatments available or a vaccine to facilitate the reentry of students into the fall term would be something that would be a bit of a bridge too far.
President Trump bristled at Fauci's comments.
To me, it's not an acceptable answer, especially when it comes to schools. The only thing that would be acceptable, as I said, is professors, teachers, etc. over a certain age. I think they ought to take it easy for another few weeks.
The president said in early May young people do well with the virus, but health experts say they're not in the clear, with some children now suffering from a potentially COVID-related inflammatory disease. A new ABC News Ipsos poll finds 69% of Americans who have a child under the age of 18 living at home who had been enrolled in school before the pandemic said they are not currently willing to send their child back to school.
My 4-year-old, her preschool has reopened. We have not sent her back yet because the other ones at home, there's no sense in that added exposure.
I would not feel comfortable sending my kids to school right now or go to camp because of, there's no vaccine. Because my main thing is I know that no one's safe until the vaccine is in place.
So for the foreseeable future, parents are scrambling. Millions of essential workers are still leaving their homes for their job. And parents who can work from home are simply getting used to doing a work conference call with their kids near them.
I mean, we are still expected to put in a full day's work. It's just impossible when you've got children in the house. They require attention. We have to make them meals. They have to be entertained. They have to be supervised. And then there's the whole educational component as well.
Bridget Schulte says working parents need to cut themselves some slack right now.
A lot of people feel really guilty that they can't give 100%. This is not a time for anybody to be able to give 100%. Getting through the end of the day is difficult.
Ralphie Santiago agrees and has some great advice for stressed out parents.
Just to do your best every day, with them and make sure that, whatever you're doing, that when your child reflects about this in a year, they say, mom and dad did the best they did and we had a great time and it was tough, but, I still love my parents.
Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
We're all just doing the best we can, and our thanks to Karen for that.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.